Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Glad you're here today. I know the title of this video is my top 5 jazz guitar records, but really after going through my collection I came up with 11 top 5 jazz records and one I couldn't find. That is my absolute top jazz record, which is Timeless on ECM by John Abercrombie, Jan Hammer I think, and Jack DeJohnette. That's one of the great jazz trio records of all time, bar none. But let's start out with and this covers fusion, straight ahead, west coast, northeast, German. This guitar obviously covers a broad range of styles. If we go back in history, of course, the great Charlie Christian is probably the first true jazz guitarist from what I understand. And if you get the box that came out a few years ago, I guess in the mid-2000s actually, on from Columbia, the box looked like an old Gibson guitar amp, the brown cover, and you hear what a magician, what a brilliant guitarist Charlie Christian was. He could hang today with anybody. He played really unusual lines, really amazing. And obviously the people I'm not covering this video, because everybody will say, what about him? What about him? What about him? Sal Salvador, Chuck Wayne, Tal Farlow, obviously one of the greats. Pat Martino, simply because I don't have any Pat Martino records. I don't have any Tal Farlow records. I have to be really choice on what I can actually keep because I live in a small apartment. And many others I'm just not thinking of. Jim Hall, because I don't have any Jim Hall on vinyl. I might have the one Jim Hall. You'd be so nice to come home to. But let's start with a blowout fusion record with actually a rock guitarist, Tommy Bolin, on Billy Cobham's Spectrum, one of the landmark fusion records. I think it's 70 or 71. And he is just peeling the walls back. He and Jan Hammer on monophonic synthesizer are just, it's dueling madness, those guys. It's unbelievable. If you haven't heard this record, some of the greatest fours trading on record as far as I'm concerned. They're just on fire. Fired by Lee Sklar on bass and Billy Cobham on drum, Billy Cobham Spectrum. And a stand-in, because I can't find Timeless, John Abercrombie, Gateway with Dave Holland and Jack DeJohnette. Another really great ECM record, not quite as on fire as that one. This is more sort of spiritual and ethereal and skyscraping, but a really beautiful recording. Abercrombie played so many different ways, so many different styles. His records are hard to find, but I think they're all pretty worthy. Some of the latter period ECMs can get a little gimmicky with the guitar effects, but that's a great record. Of course, Bright Size Life, Pat Metheny, one of the most important guitarists of the last 50 years. It always amazes me when people trash Pat Metheny. I don't even know where to begin when people talk like that. I mean, the guy came up under Gary Burton. He studied with Mick Goodrick. I almost pulled a Mick Goodrick album out. The youngest teacher to ever teach at Berkeley, or was it North Texas State or University of Miami, whatever. Continues to be a brilliant guitarist. To me, what makes a brilliant guitarist is, first of all, a unique sound. No one else sounds like him. When Metheny came on, nobody sounded like him. No one sounded like John Abercrombie to a lesser degree. Some of the other people I'm talking about, Kenny Burrell sounds like no one else. For people who love Grant Green, you can spot Grant Green a mile away, that thick bluesy tone, the great lines he plays. Kenny Burrell a little more lyrical to my estimation. Then of course I didn't pull any Wes Montgomery albums. I'm kind of sleep deprived. And many of the guitar players I've interviewed through the years, such as the big three, Scofield, Frisell, Metheny, all cite Wes Montgomery as the dad of all jazz guitarists, because all of his solos, he makes it sound like child's play. That to me is another mark of a truly great musician. They make it look easy even if it's not, and Wes Montgomery did that. If you see any clips of him, he's just smiling like he's just having the time of his life. He's not even thinking about it while he plays these amazing, beautiful, perfect solos. I think he also invented octave soloing. The Wes Montgomery records on Riverside are great. Anyway, this is a landmark. This has the tunes Bright Size Life. This doesn't have Phase Dance, but it has Round Trip and Broadway Blues right off the bat. I think isn't Round Trip Ornette Coleman? Yeah, right off the bat, this young kid, and he's challenging everyone, playing beautiful lines with Jocko and Bob Moses. Jocko is on both this and Watercolors. Just beautiful group interplay, the early ECM sound, the early Pat Metheny sound. Another ECM record, Terje Rypdal, To Be Continued, with Jack DeJohnette and Miroslav Vitous. He made several records like 10 records on it. He continues to record for ECM, but this is the one for me because it sounds like you're in a balloon going up through storm clouds. There's so much atmosphere and heat and density, and the way DeJohnette's drums are spread out over the sound stage, and the way Vithouse and Rypdal are relating, it's just amazing. It's like they're levitating. It's such a great record. Also on ECM, I'm not sure where I have all these ECM records, but these are great guitarists. The debut Bill Frisell record, and even now this is once again a thoroughly unique, totally original style. I don't know where he came from. I mean, weird delays, weird effects, such a beautiful sound. This is all solo guitar, well, with Errol Anderson on bass. This is a pretty hard record to find, from 1983, in line. But it's just instantly recognizable. And in a way, the big three, Frisell, Scofield, Metheny, I think Frisell continues to just take it out as far as being a sound sculptor more than anybody. Scofield gets better and better, an incredible player. Metheny's more than a guitarist, really. He's an epic arranger, composer, band leader. But Bill Frisell, if you ever see him live, I mean, he's the kind of guy you could hand him a quarter and he'd turn it to $1,000 with sleight of hand, because he's just such a magician when you see him. And two other great records on ECM by Ralph Towner. These are all acoustic guitar. Batik and Solstice. Batik with Ralph Towner, Eddie Gomez, and Jack DeJohnette. Solstice with Jan Garbarek, Eberhard Wepper, and John Christensen. Great stuff on the back. And these also are beautifully performed, beautifully atmospheric records. He had a wonderful touch and tone, and well, I don't think he's dead, but also energy and pushing things forward and an expansiveness. To me, that's what ECM is about. It's about improvisation, it's about expansiveness. It's ethereal music, but it's also very grounded and has a lot of weight. And Towner is just brilliant, playing, in the classical tradition, I believe, but these are wonderful records, really expansive. Another ECM record, and I do have other records that aren't ECM here, Bass Desires. This was a big influence on me and a lot of drummers and a lot of musicians. Mark Johnson, who came from Bill Evans. Peter Erskine, I think, was still in Weatherport when they made this record, or maybe you're just out of it. Scofield and Frisell. This record just rips. They do a version of Resolution, man, where they just blow the walls off the thing. Everybody is playing so great. This is one of Peter Erskine's best records, Bass Desires, which ECM, they don't give a shit about reissuing their own catalog. This is good. Second Sight, the next album is pretty good as well. Then we get into the West Coast with Barney Kessel, of course. Now, if you listen to Barney Kessel just on the face of it, he's corny as crap. He's like he fell off the turnip truck, man. But when you listen to him with these other dudes, there's a hipness in what they're playing, and they're so open, and they're such great improvisers, and there's such a wonderful interplay on this record. Any of the Paul Winters records. These are just outstanding recordings, and I hope they reissue this one. I know Kraft is doing the Contemporary series. But, three geniuses. Ray Brown, Shelly Manne, Barney Kessel, and as a unit, they're amazing, and they all lift each other. Of course, we can't talk about guitar without talking about Johnny Smith. Easy listening Johnny Smith trio. Every Johnny Smith record I've ever seen looks like this. Played. They're all played. Because people played these records, and I don't think they were background music. I think they put these records on and went, wow, that's really beautiful. Because Johnny Smith has such a beautiful tone. He's got perfect technique. He's got this big fat sound from his, is it a Guild or a Gibson electric hollow body? And man, these records just float. He played so beautifully. Just all standards. When I Fall in Love, it might as well be string. I don't know what time it is. A Foggy Day, People Will Say We're in Love. Just another magician of the guitar, Johnny Smith. Closing up with what I have today. Oh, no, let's do one more. The Brecker Brothers, Squish. Now, Squish is the opening tune of the second side from this record put out in 1980 with David Spinoza and Jeff Mironoff on guitar. Oh, and Hiram Bullock. Now, they don't have track listings, but I bet my left nut that Hiram Bullock is playing guitar on Squish. It's just a burning, scalding, funky New York thing, man, and the horns, and you know, Steve Jordan's playing all this great stuff, but Hiram Bullock played that way on all the recordings he's on. There was a trio in the 80s, I think, and 90s with Hiram Bullock and Chris Parker, I think, or not sure who else, but he was always just such a burning, surging guitarist. Died too young. And of course, then Kenny Burrell on Blue Note. These are beautiful records, killer lineups. Lewis Smith, Junior Cook, Tina Brooks, Duke Jordan, Bobby Timmons, Sam Jones, Art Blakey. This is the West 63rd RVGP I got for $100 at Jazz Record Center. And this is one with no P, NYC RVG I got for $40. While these are great, and he is so lyrical and bluesy and in the pocket, my really favorite one, which I can't find also in my house of disaster sorting, is the one, is it Introducing? That has the two percussionists. That record is off the charts. That is just crazy. You know, it's just like, wow. You have to get the right pressing though, because some of the pressings, the percussion sounds distorted. I don't know why that is. It just, they didn't, Rudy Van Gelder didn't know how to record percussion per se, but those are great recordings. But for me, Kenny Burrell is the greatest guitarist on Blue Note. I like him better than Grant Green. He's just more lyrical. He can play in a wider range of moods and styles. And he's just more to my liking. Anyway, there's 11 records for my top 5 jazz guitar records. Have a great day. Thanks for stepping in. Bye-bye.